decorated, all with the purpose of sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ and sharing all kinds of things as far as hygiene and how to respect your fellow members and fellow friends and family. It's just absolutely a wonderful, beautiful place. This is the pastor right here, and just wanted you to see that picture because the oven that is behind him, he built that oven right outside the church. And when we were there the first time, the only thing that was there was that oven and a small little building where they met. And we built the church around the oven, and these are some of the activities. They do dramas and have teaching lessons in dramas. It's absolutely incredible. They do a drama for us every time we go. And then we, of course, give gifts. We gave out well over 400 gifts. And the smile on the faces of those kids when they got the gift. And I put this picture in there because this is to let you know that these young people that grow up to be leaders, and this young man was one of the first little boys that we met 6 years ago. And this is the sanctuary and our team outside. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. This is the pastor and his wife, and they do an incredible job with the ministry there. And this, of course, is our greeting. The team being greeted at Wasi Igriani is another building that we built. I wanted to show you those signs. They are absolutely gorgeous, and had kids behind them, and they just were so excited to see us come. This is Wasi Igriani. I say Capilla de Wasi Igriani because Capilla de Cochabamba, the church in Cochabamba, is the church we work with, and all of their satellite churches are called Capilla. Capilla de Wasi Igriani, Capilla de Artemasi, so forth. And how would you like to have this 3 through 5 year age in your choir? Is Jenny Sykes here? We had about 40-something in that choir. This is the ministry that day when we gave out gifts, and this is worship in 2023. That was a worship service there, and we dedicated that building after 1 year. The pastor's been there one year, Pastor Luis. This is a picture of the building outside and the educational space, and we have a piece of land that goes, I'll show you on a slide, that goes up further than that. We're going to eventually build a school, but these are some of the rooms, huge rooms and nice rooms inside this building that just absolutely provide a tremendous education for those kids. And musical training is, this right here is, I think, I think that is 6 through 12 or 6 through 10, I'm not sure. That's their choir. And of course, they do drama there at Wasi Igriani as well. This is our team. They appreciated us being there. They give us a gift, and it was really. Here's the piece of land. Where you see the church down behind us, the piece of land comes from right there where the arrow on the left hits up to the bottom of this arrow here, and we're going to build a school up there eventually. And of course, First Baptist brought gifts and gave out over 500 gifts. And you would think it was National Hat Day in Bolivia. This is our team with the leadership that comes every Saturday and other days during the week and work with these kids. It's just absolutely beautiful. This is a group photo as we dedicated the building there that day with Pastor Luis. And these are just mainly the adults that were there. The children have already been dismissed to their class. This is Pastor Luis and his wife, and they are doing a fantastic job, full of energy. And by the way, he resigned his job. He was a CPA. He resigned his job and took this church full time with no pay. No pay. And this cute kids. This is another church that we're building called Capilla de Belén Huerta Maya. It's a Quechua church. And we are building this church way out in the country. And it is going to be absolutely gorgeous. There they are worshiping in it now. They've got the roof on it. And this is the pastor and his wife, Pastor Vargas, and of course, Pastor Mario, who is a Quechua pastor. He actually is over all the Quechua pastors in Bolivia. And this is Pastor Vargas and I making a deal that if we provided the money, it'd have that church ready for me to preach in next year. So we're hoping that's going to happen. Then we did a pastor's conference at Capilla de Cochabamba. Incredible pastor's conference. Roger Culpepper went with us. He's from Pine Grove Church. His son, Jim Culpepper, went with us. He's from Arlington Church in Arlington, Georgia. And then, of course, his minister of youth went with us, Ryan Lancaster. So we had, 4 great guys doing a wonderful work. And they talked about all kinds of topics and so on. This interesting young lady here already has her doctor's degree. This is Pastor Ronald Crepes, C-R-E-E-P-E-S, and he is the one or Crespo rather, he is the one who will be working with us in all the details and receipts and things like that I require. This is the pastor at RMC praying. This is Pastor Vargas' son, who spent 14 years in the United States, and we've come pretty close. We communicate pretty often with email. Our team giving out gifts. This is our team that was there, and the pastors and their wives that were there. We had, I think, 118 people participate in the conference. We also did a conference at Pastor Hugo's house church. It was called Mi Casa, and we did that in his church. And Pastor Hugo is the brother of Sandra Gonzalez. Most of you know her. But it was a great time there. We exchanged gifts with them. We bought those books for the children's table and children's library that we're starting there. Judy made a new friend. This is Pastor Hugo's a photo out his window. He has a condominium on the 6th floor there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And this is a view at night. This is the dessert she served us. So if you're worried about going to Bolivia, if you want to go with us, if you're worried about having food that you can eat, you don't need to worry about that. The food is outstanding. And by the way, their candy bars are good, I've been told. So if you'd like a candy bar, make sure you take one with you before you leave, okay? Now, if you are, this is our team with Pastor Hugo's family. And if you are worried about going to Bolivia, if you would decide to go with us and being uncomfortable or anything like that, this is our last dinner with the Capilla leadership. But here's where you would be staying, in Grand Hotel, Cochabamba. Absolutely incredible, beautiful hotel, and very inexpensive. And you would love it. Okay, we're going to ask Terry and Judy. Our other three, of course, are going to do a slideshow at their church, but I want to ask Terry, come and give your impressions and tell us about the pastor's conference, and then following that, we'll let Judy come, okay?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to go on this trip. It was a great blessing to me. It was really an encouraging time. I didn't realize we were going to be so far up. We were 8,000 feet up, so a little bit of that altitude getting used to was a little tough sometimes, but it was a great trip. You know, the interesting thing about these churches, and you know this as you look through them, that a lot of them are in different states of where they are in their building process, and it's amazing to me what all they're doing with such little money. And everything they do, you can tell that they're doing it the most frugal way to make their money go the farthest to be able to do the ministry they're doing. Now, our first conference, the church we were in, I told Jill this. I said, I don't know how our folks would have handled this. We started about 10 o'clock in the morning and got done about 6 o'clock in the evening. But the church, when you walk in the door onto what we would consider the stage area, the pulpit area, just flat, and there's the risers that are built. There's probably about 26 of them, just carpeted risers, and that's what the people sit on. So if you can imagine sitting on a wooden bench with a little bit of carpeting on it for about 6 hours, it's tough, and there's not a lot of air conditioning there either, so a little bit hot. So, but the interesting thing about the pastors' conferences, and there was as much ladies there as there were men. A lot of the pastors' wives came. Is that, and Dennis and I were talking about this, the people are kind of like little birds out there with their mouth open. I mean, just whatever you say, they're just taking it in. They're writing notes, and you wonder, because, we're saying it in English, it's being interpreted in Spanish. You're wondering if maybe they're getting the full, exactly as we said it, but it was a blessing, and no one acted like they were getting tired. They were ready to go home. I mean, they just stayed and they stayed and they stayed. And then on the first conference, and here's how God works. There were 3 of us that spoke that day, myself and Jim and the other 2 guys. None of us had gotten together on any of our topics, but everything we did fit hand in hand, build upon each other. And it's just wonderful how God moved in our thoughts and minds and put it all together, and it just fit very well. The second pastor's conference, it actually was, I would really call it a church conference, because it was just one church. And this church met in the pastor's home on the patio, covered patio. So I could only imagine what would happen when the rains come and the cool comes. But there again, the people came. There were different ages. There was about 40 or 50 that came. We were there all evening one night for 4 or 5 hours, and then all day on Sunday. And the people just stayed and stayed and stayed. And you can communicate a lot with smiles, with hugs, handshakes. Even though you can't speak the language. And one of the pastors, I promised him the next time I come back, I will learn some Spanish. He said, you need to learn Spanish. He says, these guys over here, he took me over there and he introduced me, all 3 of them. None of them can speak any English. He said, they want to talk to you, but they can't. So, and Mac does pretty good with his. I was impressed by how much he knows and how he can communicate. But just being able to do a little bit of communication, even if it's just more than just say, how are you doing, it really, really breaks down that barrier of language. So that's my goal. If I go back, I'm going to learn some Spanish and take with me. But I really was impressed by the people there, the warmness of the people, and how much they really genuinely appreciated what we did, what we had to say to them, and how we encouraged them.
Okay, I would like to share a little bit with you specifically about probably more of what I'm going to talk about today is about the building at Uwasi Igurani and what is going on there. But the Sunday we were there, all of us went to church at the Mother Church that kind of supervises all of these churches out in the rural areas. And we were all there in the service, and the pastor, the senior pastor there, Pastor Roger, stood up and he was introducing our team, and he was telling the people there about us. and he was talking specifically about the church at Uwasi Igurani. And he told the people, he said, in 2016, we had lots of dirt and lots of kids. And then First Baptist came. He actually said Pastor Mack came, but we all know that Pastor Mack does what he does because of you and your giving, and our church and their financial giving. But some of us were there in 2016 where we went up on that mountain and we just found us a rock to do a Bible study. There literally was nothing there. And it is just mind-blowing to me that now there is a church building there, a 2-story church building and 2 stories of classrooms that seats 500 people, and we actually found out we could get 600 in there, didn't we? Either Saturday or Sunday one, we had approximately 600 in there. And some of you are saying, how in the world can they build a whole church like that? But as Terry mentioned, it is amazing what these people do with so little. And a lot of the church members, they work all day, and then they volunteer in the evenings and then on the weekends, and they work. And they are so careful. This was not a part of what I was going to say to you, but we're blown away by how accountable they are with the money that is given to them. Mac is very insistent on receipts for everything, and through the year, they let him know what they've done, what they've spent. But when we got there, they gave him a thick booklet with not only the original receipts on every page, but pictures of what they bought in the store, pictures of it on the lot, and then pictures of it going up. And so your money is very well spent, and they are very careful, and that just amazes me. These are people who need help, and they are so thankful for First Baptist Church and what you are doing with God's leadership. The church is 75% kids. They start out with the children, teaching them Bible stories, and then parents start coming, wanting to know what their children are learning there, and then they're able to reach parents also. Both these churches, Armasi and Igurani, are the nicest buildings in those poor communities. It just did something to me to drive up those dirt roads as we were getting closer to those churches, and in the distance you could see a red roof. Both those churches have a red roof, and then when you come, that is the prettiest, nicest building you will see anywhere in those very poor neighborhoods. I'm impressed with what those children are being taught. Both groups sang for us. They had the children playing instruments. Both groups did a skit for us. One of the groups, I think it was the one at Igurani, they had children who pantomimed for us. And they had a little boy who was, his goal was to live to be 100 and to be healthy. And so he was demonstrating eating healthy food and exercising and doing all the right things with the sole goal of living to be 100. And then the next day he was in a wreck. And he died, and we heard the ambulance, and they had all the right appropriate sounds. And then all of his friends were crying because this man, he was living to be healthy, but he died without God. And for these children to be getting that message across to us, that it's not how healthy you live, but are you living with God? It touched my heart to see their pantomime. Different things in the classrooms. Max showed you some pictures where you saw how attractively the rooms are fixed. And they have posters. They had one poster that I was impressed with, showed the children how to have a quiet time. And they had different pictures on there. They could be praying to God. They could be reading their Bibles, or they might be writing what God was sharing with them at that particular time. They also had posters about things that our children take for granted. How do you brush your teeth? How do you take care of your body? But then they also were teaching them how to show respect and how to treat other people. And one of the workers told us, she said, it's our goal to teach these children about God, for them to accept God, and then when they're old enough to go off this mountain and down into town and get a job, they can teach other people in the community what it means to be a Christian and to live a Christian life. And that was just so impressive to me as a teacher. Mac and I actually had the experience of going to Igurani twice. We went on Saturday afternoon with our whole group where we gave out gifts. And then he and I went back Sunday afternoon while the rest of the group was starting the second pastors conference. They had asked Mac to come and preach at their 3 o'clock worship service that afternoon because the church was exactly 1 year old. They had been in that building for 1 year. So we went back to go to that 3 o'clock service. Well, as soon as we walked in, a little girl, her name was Gabriella, and I think Mac had a picture of me with Gabriella, 9 years old. And she just came running up to me, and she brought this little box to me. And so I opened the box, and it is a child's necklace and earrings. It is obviously new. Apparently some group came and gave the children a gift. And she was giving this necklace to me. Well, it actually broke my heart because this little girl has so little of this world's goods. And she's bringing me her necklace and her earrings. So I really did not want to accept this gift. But I talked to the translator who was helping us to communicate, and 2 different points in the conversation, I said, please ask Gabriella, is she sure she wants to give this to me? And both times it was an emphatic yes. So as you see, I brought home this precious gift from Gabriella, and it will always be very special to me. Another thing during that service that afternoon that touched my heart was the offering time. Kent, I'm sure you and Chuck will be glad to know I was touched by the offering time. They put a basket out in front of the pulpit, and one of the young men was playing some music, and I saw people starting to file by and put something in the basket. And so I saw Matt get some money out of his wallet, and he walked over and put the money in the basket. So I was just sitting there observing, and they kept coming. So I turned around, and as I looked back, I saw that nearly every adult and every child in that room was in that line to put something in that basket. And it was one of the few times ever that I left my purse in the car locked up. So I nudged Mac and said, give me some money. I just could not let all those other people have that experience of walking by, putting money in the basket, and me not go to the basket myself. So their giving in their poverty just did something to my heart, and I was blessed by that particular experience. And there's so many things I could share with you, but those are just a few special things this year that touched me a lot. And in closing, I would like to share with you 2 verses that as I was deciding what I was going to say, both these verses said something to me. The first one is Proverbs, 19:17, and this is from the Holman translation, says, kindness to the poor is a loan to the Lord, and he will give a reward to the lender. And then the other verse that I'm reading, and I'm reading this second verse from the Message translation, says, never walk away from someone who deserves help. Your hand is God's hand for that person. Okay.
Well, needless to say, it was an awesome trip. And we just want to thank you as a church for supporting our mission ministry. And guys, this is just one of a number of things we're doing around the world. And so just want you to know that your gifts to the mission ministry is well used. and is blessing people's lives. You have questions? Anybody want to make a donation? No questions? All right, let's stand. We'll have a blessing and let you go, okay? Thank you for being here. Lord God, we thank you for this opportunity to share our ministry, our mission ministry with our people. We thank you, Lord, for their generosity. We thank you for their love for missions. We thank you for their love for Jesus Christ, and they want to share it around the world. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings you give us every single day. And we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share with our people. Thank you for this wonderful meal. In the name of Christ, amen. You guys greet our associational missionary, Mike Broadwater. He's